Oh man, I've wanted to do this series for a while. I played this game for the Let's Play channel years ago, and it was the first time trying to animate too. Man, this is kind of crude looking back, but it wasn't a... Actually, no, it was kind of a shoddy attempt. I need to get back into that someday. But that's not important right now. For this video, we're going to be talking about the GameCube version of this game. And for Pikmin 2, I'm going to be talking about the Wii version because Pikmin 3 is on the Wii U. And why not make things a little more consistent? I also want to talk about the Wii controls for that game too. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So, anyone remember that Mario 128 demo? It was an odd concept, seeing all these little Marios running around and getting tossed in a warping environment. But it was a great way to show off the power of the GameCube. The properties shown in the demo would bleed into other games, namely the environment warping for Mario Galaxy and Twilight Princess. The physics engine would go into Metroid Prime, and of course the ability to show off multiple objects at once were the very same game we're talking about. Our story begins with an astronaut roaming around in his spaceship when he gets struck by an asteroid, which crash lands him into a stranded planet. The astronaut, known as Captain Olimar, wakes up and realizes his entire ship is destroyed. Distraught by the incident, he explores its surroundings and discovers a hovering plant, which he calls an onion, with a single sprout launching out of it, making him curious as to what will happen if he plucks it out. And thus he meets an animal plant creature thing, which he calls a Pikmin, named after the Pikmin carrots from his own planet. After fighting more in the area, he soon discovers the most important part of his ship, the engine, allowing him to fly and locate the other 29 missing parts. But he's got to get it all done before his air supply runs out in the next 29 days. So it's off to find the ship parts before he perishes into the unknown planet. While the story itself is fairly basic, you get a lot of flavor text, from his end-of-day vlogs to his observations with the Pikmin, and even explanations with his own ship parts. It always disturbs me that Olimar has a death ray though. What kind of horrible mind would want a portable Death Star? You also learn a few things about Olimar himself, with him being a working family man. He even has mementos from his son and daughters, which are actually named after their astronomical signs. That alone makes him relatable, but we also learn that he doesn't think highly of his boss, thanks to his comment with his computer. Dang, I can feel that. The personality isn't exclusive to Olimar though. The Pikmin themselves can be very expressive. Looking like putty when they stretch, they lay down like they want to be drawn like French girls. And they even moo! I don't know why they moo, but they do and I love it. And holy crap, these things are bloodthirsty. They will latch onto their enemies until they scream and flops to the ground. But it seems that's the only thing they can do well because they are dumb as hell. Guys, it's been 5 minutes. It's not a challenging path. The ship is not... Guys, come on, we don't have all day. Guys, you're like 10... Oh, I also love how each Pikmin type has small little details. The reds have noses, the yellows have these adorable little ears, and the blues have mouth-like gills that doesn't make them terrifying at all. I guess we should talk about these little guys. First off, we have the first Pikmin you find, the red Pikmin. They are the strongest out of all the types, and they're also immune to fire, which is a very common obstacle in one of the areas. Yellow Pikmin are the lightest of the types, meaning they can be thrown into higher places, though it really isn't that useful, only used twice in the game. They can also use these bomb rocks that are very situational, meaning they're only really useful for these stone walls that the Pikmin cannot take out themselves. But they'll try. Oh, they'll certainly try. And finally, we have the blue Pikmin, which only have one specific ability, being able to walk in water without drowning. But since every place has large bodies of water, they may be considered the most important. Once you find their respective onions, you'll want to make sure you increase their numbers quickly afterward, since they're located nearby important landmarks where their skills will be proved useful. Increasing your army size isn't too hard, as you can let the Pikmin take any animal carcass or any of these colored pellets to their respective onions. And hopefully you have the entire field filled when you take a bunch of the junk to the base, otherwise I hope you don't have anything else to do during that day. Quick small things to note, since I couldn't find a good place to put it in the script. You can whistle any nearby Pikmin toward you, you can dispatch a Pikmin, which is super helpful when you need specific Pikmin at a specific time. You can find nectar and grass and rocks for some reason, which can increase your Pikmin's speed and efficiency. Finally, you can navigate the Pikmin's location, which will also have them collect or attack nearby objects and successful victims respectively, which is also a very effective way to reduce the enemy's HP. Unless they're these assholes, which will eat the Pikmin faster than you can blink. Damn these things to hell. Every enemy has their own mannerisms, in which you must observe in order to take victory. Some are more obnoxious than others, but most of them are simple to take out, though you still need to use caution and patience. But we all know that's not fun, so you can just bun rush everything. Let it be known that Nintendo is not a stranger to dark deaths. As long as they're not human, I suppose. Still, what the hell? So, the main challenges of Pikmin is trying to get every ship part as fast as possible with micromanagement and careful thinking. But you need to use that careful thinking to keep as many Pikmin alive as possible. However, there are going to be so many times where the Pikmin are either going to kill themselves by drowning or bursting into flames, you accidentally leave the Pikmin at the end of the day, having them get eaten by the nocturnal creatures, or when you're going against an enemy that you know you'll have a horrible time. Fighting the fiery blowhogs are anxiety-inducing, as the reds are immune to the fire, but they can also throw any nearby Pikmin, and if they throw them into the water, you'll need to whistle them fast and hard, but I swear the whistle can be delayed at times, and when it does, say goodbye to your little soldiers. This puffy bastard. It's not too bad until it spews out its spores, which can corrupt any of the nearby Pikmin, and they can attack you afterwards. But if enough are corrupted, you're gonna die, plain and simple. And after that, they die! I hate this thing, I really f***ing hate this thing! The Forest of Hope has the cancers known as the Snagrets. These snake birds are the bane of my existence. They can creep out of the ground, and they can quickly eat up to 3 of your Pikmin before you can do anything to stop it. At least they can spill a lot of pellets when they scream in pain, though. Like its fiery cousins, the puffy blowhogs in the distant spring are just pure annoyance. Though thankfully they don't spew fire, so it's not as anxiety-inducing, but still, these things are a pain, and they also deflower the Pikmin, which also... ugh. And lastly, on the list of annoyances can go extinct, the Wollywogs. They're not too annoying when you learn their patterns, but even then, when you have the Pikmin just wailing on them, if they get even a split second of an opening, they can hop and squish most of your Pikmin. Ooh, I hate these things, I really hate these things. I mean, really, most enemies are obnoxious, but these were certainly the ones that stand out. But learning about the environment, how to take out the enemies and obstacles, learning which Pikmin are best for which job, and remembering where every part is located, all this bundled together makes this one of the best games to speedrun in my opinion. Well, I can't seem to do any better than 20 days, that's mostly because I can't play this game as much as I'd like to. But I always love speedrunning this game whenever I pick it up. Though I don't play it as much as another game, but we'll get there later. The game itself still looks really good. Not Metroid Prime levels of, holy crap, this is a 20-year-old game? Oh my god, these games are nearly 20 years old. But it's still got a lovely art style. The Forest of Hope and Distant Spring look phenomenally gorgeous. And the Forest Navel is very damp and gross, very claustrophobic. But even then, it still looks pretty good. The water effects are impressive for 2001. And all the individual grass. This all may not seem important nowadays, but the 6th gen was when we were starting to get a lot of detail in games. And Pikmin was one of the first games to do this. At least from memory, of course. And that's all great and all, but because of that, the frame rate can dip at times. It's not too often, it still keeps to a solid 30 FPS. But when there's so much on screen, it can get rough. Thankfully, the Distant Spring is the only place that has it happen often, otherwise the game's performance is solid. And lastly, the music is very relaxing. While the game itself can be intense with the enemies and puzzles, the music still makes everything feel serene. And the sound design is also pretty satisfying, from the enemy cries to the crunch of explosions. And whenever the walls fall down little by little, it's always nice hearing that lovely crumbling sound. Only criticism is the Pikmin death sounds. Seriously, that's just sick. Now that everything is all said, we have to talk about the most satisfying part of the game, the final trial. I mean, we don't have to, but I always like to talk about it. If you're really worried about spoilers, you should have played this game already. Every Pikmin is put into good use, except the yellow's lightweight, that's just unnecessary. Though to the asshole who decided to have the water nearby the bomb rocks, you deserve the nicest corner in hell. With the ball taken down in the span of 2 seconds, both of them by the way, we meet the final challenge, the Emperor Bulblax. The Lord takes about half the day to take out, and you want to make sure you don't run out of bomb rocks. But that won't happen unless you screw up horribly, that always hurts me. But once he's done, he combusts and you get damn it! After the next day, you see the beast was holding the last piece, a giant-ass piggy bank. This guy is thinking like a man. With all 30 parts, or at least every important part, Olimar launches into the sky, waves goodbye to the Pikmin, and looking out to the planet that gave him so much trouble, wondering if he will ever see it again. And in the bad ending, Olimar becomes a Pikmin. Kinda disturbing. If you get every part, you can actually see all the onions flying into the sky, funnily enough. None of them are red, blue, or yellow. Meaning? Yep, sequels. I am disappointed that in the span of nearly 20 years, we only got 2 of them. The game wasn't a flop, but it didn't do too much of a following to award enough sequels, I guess. I also did these little result screens before the credits start. How many Pikmin you sprouted or left to die, how many parts you got in how many days, and it also gives you a list of parts you got. 5 of them are optional as hinted before, but of course the man needs his funds, he needs to get his muscles relaxed, and the universe needs to fear the dolphin silhouette. We also get an enemy roll call after the credits. These are always great. And you get some pretty cool descriptions too. Some wish I got some footage of, like this foggy little thing. And, hey, the Gulix isn't in the Forest Navel. And the Mamuta isn't in the Distant Spring. I smell cut content, and yeah, there was a lot of cut content. Just to name a few things, the red and blue Pikmin were going to be able to use bomb rocks. And they thankfully don't, otherwise the yellows would be near useless. There were also some interesting enemies that had been never resurrected. And the game also had these doors and keys, though I'm glad the game doesn't have this mechanic. It didn't seem like it would have fit the game. I've given the Piclopedia page a look. It's really neat. I'll put it in the description for you. And that was Pikmin. That was such a great time. It's always a great time for this game because I just love this game, man. It's one of my favorites. I just wish they were... And that was Pikmin. That was a great time. It's always a great time with this game. I just love it so much. I just wish they re-released this on the Switch already, along with Pikmin 2 and 3. I feel like 3 is going to be eventual, but we'll get there. And seriously, where is Pikmin 4? That has been a long time coming. It's been 5 years already. Holy shit. Speaking of which, I'm going to make myself a bet. If a Pikmin trilogy, or at the very least Pikmin 3 gets on the Switch, I will buy these Pikmin plushes that I found on eBay. They look so great. A little terrifying though. But the price will pay. But if Pikmin 4 gets on, which probably won't be anytime soon, in fact, I'm pretty sure Miyamoto lied to us, I will go the extra mile and buy this 15-piece set from the same seller. Come on, Nintendo. Pikmin 4. Fill my room with these nightmarish things.
いろんな命が生きているこの星で今日も